first published book, right?
Yes.
The Miller's Angel Baby. So before we get into our conversation, I'm going to let you take the floor and just tell everybody who you are and what this is about.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity to be here today. I like to be called Alexis, so that's what I go by. And this has been a journey I never thought I'd be on. I never thought I'd be writing a book, but once you go through a journey of darkness and you make it out into the light, I feel like I want to share that with the world for anyone else who's going through that process, and just to know that there's hope on the other side.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
When did you write this book?
2017, with the idea when people said, what happened to you is just so incredible and unbelievable, you have to write about it. And it just played in my mind, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. So 2017 to 2018, I just got up and started typing on my phone every morning before work, trying to string it together, and I realized, okay, I need help. So I reached out and got help with how to write a book. And
Who did you reach out to?
The School of Self-Publishing. Wow. It's an online coaching platform for people who'd like to self-publish.
That's perfect, because most of the people I think that are watching this are first-time authors in the middle of writing, not sure where to turn. So that's a great resource.
Absolutely. They help you if you don't know how to write a book, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, with developing your characters, what a plot is, how to just put together something that someone else would want to read and make it interesting, help you with editing. Oh yeah. Okay. They have podcasts that are free. But yeah, if you want the full shebang, they have a program that's amazing.
So do you want to share what happened to you?
Sure.
That made you that brought you to this?
Sure. So let's see. That's me on the cover as a
little
girl.
Oh, it is you.
Yeah, and that's my mom, and she still wears those bandanas to this day.
Oh my god.
That's her trademark look. And so let's see. My life was going along swimmingly swell, like typical, and I'm an interior designer, so I was just doing my interior design, raising my family. I'm an Army wife, so my husband was here and there traveling, and then life took a turn for the worst, and my dad's health just tanked, and I became one of those sandwich generations where I was raising my kids and then looking at, oh my gosh, well, now I have this aging parent, and how am I going to handle this?
A whole other job.
Whole nother job, and then layer on my family's dysfunction of him being an alcoholic, and that just threw in a whole nother mix of, okay, how do I deal with this now? And I wanted to do the right thing and try to help him, but by the same token, I didn't want to bring that into my own home. And
boundaries.
Yeah, having boundaries, learning how to set boundaries. And so that process was a trial in and of its own, and I thought that was my hiccup. I thought that was it, everything was done. His health just went up and down, and then it just went downhill fast. And he just started losing weight massively, was telling me everything was fine, and I knew something wasn't fine. And so when he was sober and when I could find him and get information, I would just try my best to be there for him, but then maintain boundaries of how much I wanted to take on. And the next thing I know, he was saying, I want you to be on my will and be my executrix. But everything's okay. Everything's okay. I'm like, are you sure everything's okay?
Ask someone for that if it's not.
Everything's okay? And he said, yeah, everything's fine. I just want to button up things and just dot my I's and cross my T's. I'm just being proactive.
Right.
So my parents are separated, and my mom warned me, don't get involved with him. And I thought, well, he's my dad. I can't not help my dad. I'm the only person he had. And so I became his executrix, and in that process I went to his house and discovered he's also a hoarder. And so that was just a whole nother layer of, oh my gosh, it was like something off of those TV shows. And I thought, well, how could he be living like this? And so that took me down just another rabbit hole of depression, anxiety, and just how am I going to deal with all this? And Father's Day rolled around in 2016, and I couldn't find him leading up to that whole week. And I thought, well, maybe he's out on a bender. Is he passed out somewhere? I'm calling the hospitals. He's nowhere in the hospitals. Finally, I called the police, and they went to do a wellness checkup, and he was deceased.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
It's really important, though, that you're sharing this, because this happens quite often, and people are either too ashamed or embarrassed, or don't know who to tell or how to get help on both sides of it. So I think it's so important
Yes.
that you shared this story.
And thank you for bringing that up, because so many people have shared that they walked with that silently and struggled. And I was, at that time, the same way. I thought, well, I can't tell anybody that I'm going through this in my life. I can't share this. I have to keep up that image of everything's just fine.
Right.
When meanwhile, everything was falling apart.
Not fine.
No, everything was falling apart. And my hair is how it manifested, in that it all practically fell out. And so that's how my stress manifested through all this, was losing my hair, basically. And it's taken me years to get it back like this.
Well, that's beautiful.
Thank you. But I was like Brillo chunks all over my head.
Yeah.
And so that was my Father's Day. And with my husband being in the military, he wasn't even supposed to be home that weekend, but by the grace of God, he was. And so he helped me. And so in the book, I just basically detail my life through all of this.
So this is all true.
This is all true of how I dealt with every single, basically, rock and boulder that was thrown against me through this whole process. What was in his house, it was just like a crime scene, and just how I dealt with that. And then being an interior designer, I thought, oh, well, I'll just flip the house and I'll just make some money off of this. And then I realized, no, there's too much emotion here for me to do that. So I called one of those places that clean out everything, and I thought everything was over and I would get back to my life, and that I was just cleaning out stuff that, as the executrix, I needed to wrap up. Well, then I found out he hadn't been paying his taxes for 7 years. He had been doing all sorts of things, and I was now signed up on for all of it as the executrix. So that was a whole nother layer of, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? And I thought, well, do I want to do right by him, or just let this house go to sheriff's sale and be done with it? And I thought, I'm going to try to honor him as best I can, and his memory of the good man that I remember him being, without these demons that he battled with. And just that I chronicle that in here about basically my mental breakdown through all of this, and everything that I dealt with for the year, 2 years, 3 years, all condensed into this, of how I just picked myself up after one breakdown, one just horrific thing after another that he never told me about. Never shared any of this when he would call or visit, that I uncovered after he died.
I'm sure.
And I learned more about him after his death than I knew about him when he was alive. And so when I thought everything was buttoned up and my journey was over and I made it to the light, I have a purse in that bag that I bought with me. It's my grandmother's purse, and he had it at his house. I thought, well, why would he have her purse in all of that hoarded stuff that I found? And also a family Bible. And I didn't even know that they read the Bible, let alone had one. So after all this was wrapped up, the house was taken care of, and I thought everything was done, I thought, well, let me just look in that purse. Maybe my grandma had some cigarettes in there just for sentiment, and it's a cute bag, and I thought maybe I'll put it on some online shop.
What was in the purse?
I gotta lead up to it!
I'm scared.
I gotta lead up to it! So I'm sitting in my office, and I'm thinking, this is just an average day. And so I opened the purse, and there's all these old documents in there. I was just expecting to find her cigarette lighter and some cigarettes. That was it. So when I see these documents, I thought, well, I have to look at them. And I start reading them, and they're from the 1960s. And I'm thinking, well, why are there... Why? So just my curiosity got the best of me. Instead of just throwing them out, I thought, well, let me just read through them. I don't have anything else to do today. And I start reading it, and they're police surveillance reports about Negro man, Negro girl, Mexican woman sighted here, and just chronicling these people's whereabouts in Ohio. I think, why is someone paying for surveillance records on people from the 60s, and why is it in my grandmother's purse? Why did my dad hold on to this? So I start digging through more records. There's divorce papers in there. There's receipts for wedding rings. There's all these things. I'm thinking, what is this? And then I start looking at the names on the documents, and I realize my dad's name is on them. So now I'm really invested as to, okay, what happened back in the 60s that his name is on these papers? Why did he pay for these surveillance reports? What is happening? And basically, he had a whole other life that I never knew about, and was married before he met my mom and had other children.
Did your mom know?
I called my lawyer, and he said, well, she's the only other living person, you have to ask her. So when I looked through more of the records, I found wedding ring receipts, and so I called her, and I figured, well, how am I going to talk? How do I just call my mom and say, hello, yes,
That's a big
I have something to ask
carry.
you.
Yeah.
So I picked up the phone and I just said, I found some interesting things I need to ask you about my dad. Did you know he was married before you met him? And if you know anything about my mom, she is, she's hell on wheels. And just all fire and brimstone, and my friends who are adults still call her Mrs. Miller, even though they're grown adults.
Oh my gosh!
So to have to rile that woman up was not something I wanted to do, but I had to.
Yeah.
And no, she didn't know anything about it.
Oh my goodness!
So that just opened up a whole other can of worms of her own bitterness of that bastard. I knew he was keeping something from me, and meanwhile I'm like, this is my dad, and how did this happen? And just having an out-of-body experience of having this conversation. And basically he divorced his first wife and within 6 months proposed to my mom, and 6 months later married my mom. So within the span of a year, he went from being married to one woman to being married to a completely different woman, had child support set up for
So you
kids.
have siblings?
Yeah.
Have you met them?
Well, that's all in the story about my mental breakdown and just, oh my gosh. So then the lawyer said, well, you have to, as executrix, you have to find who these people are. And I thought, well, this still can't be real.
You're like the third author here who has been on a family mystery of trying to figure it out. This has been the theme. It really has been.
I think with that 23andMe, it's opened up so many Pandora boxes. Yeah. And so I thought, well, I did find that family Bible. Let me go see if this is even really real before I do any more. And I opened up the Bible, and sure enough, there's my grandmom's writing, and there's the first wife, there's the child, there's the dates. Everything is all written there. So then I realized, I guess my dad...
It should be a movie.
Fingers
crossed. Are you
crossed.
going to be on
Fingers crossed. That's on my vision board.
Oh, good. Guess what? This hotel was on my vision board.
I love vision boards.
For years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, the power of the vision board.
Yeah.
It's on my vision board. So it was there in the Bible, and I thought, well, it's written there, then it obviously has to be real. And I searched and searched and searched, could not find anything on social media. I went through just trying to find a private investigator. Everything just came up just dead leads. So my lawyer said, you did your due diligence, just forget about it. So I thought, okay, well, somewhere out there I have siblings. My dad was one of those Papa with the Rolling Stones, and he was a truck driver. So I thought, I don't want to do 23andMe because I don't want to have 23andMe all over the country. So I didn't do 23andMe. I just said, okay, I'm done. I'm going to try to pick up the pieces of my life and just forget about it. So I wasn't even thinking about writing a story. I just thought, okay, this is it, and I'm done, and I just want to bury it and just go to therapy and clean up my life.
Perfect.
And so I thought everything was done. My hair was slowly growing back, and I thought, okay, I'm getting on with my life. And then a year later, I just get this random message through LinkedIn. Hi.
LinkedIn.
Yes, through LinkedIn. I'm thinking, what is this? And it's, hi, my name is Megan. I think we're related. I think you're my aunt. And what? Is this a joke? And she started naming towns, and her mom's name is Mel, and that's who was on these records, and she mentioned Ohio, and so my lawyer said, well, you have to check this out, you have to pursue it, as the executrix, you have to look at this. And so I reached out to her, and she showed me photos, and there was no denying that her mom is my sister. I call her my sister. There's no doubt. She looks just like my grandmother. She smoked the same long, skinny cigarettes. She wore the same kid sneakers, same bra size, like triple F. I think she's a 32II. Like,
oh my gosh.
There was no way that she was not related to me. And so I thought, okay, well, here we go. Let's open up a new chapter of my life. And I thought, okay, here goes a new chapter. I'm going from an only child to having a sister. And how do I embrace that in my late 30s, early 40s, being an only child my whole life, always wanting sisters, and now all of a sudden, hi, you have one, and you're an aunt. It's just like that, by opening an email. And so we set up a time to meet, and we were going to FaceTime, and she's sending me photos, and I'm sending her photos, and things are amazing. And then I raised the question, well, how come I couldn't find your mom online? And I need to send her legal papers, and she said, well, I'm my mother's guardian. And so then that raised another question, well, why are you a guardian of someone who's in her 50s? And then she said, because my mom has special needs and she's not on social media, and I'm her legal guardian because she's not competent to make her own decisions. And so then that opened up a whole other can of worms. Whoa. What do you mean here? And so she said, well, my mom has a syndrome called Prader-Willi. And when she said that, I literally saw my life flash before me, and it was an out-of-body experience for me, because I used to be a physical therapist working with special needs kids, and majority of them had Prader-Willi. So to then go full circle and find out my sister has that, it just, all of this in the book brought out so many things that came full circle about my family, my parents, my dad, my grandma.
That is so wild.
Things that they would say, it was like some type of karmic dance of everything in my life from decades before all merged together and came together in that one moment on a telephone conversation.
Another telephone conversation.
Mm-hmm. That just, like, that staggered me. I don't remember hanging up the phone. I don't remember anything after that, just thinking about that information. And then I found out I have two sisters, not just one. She has an older sister who's 11 months older. So I went from being just an only child to having a sister with special needs to having an older sister as well. So now I have two sisters who are amazing. And so the rest of the book just talks about getting to know them and all of the gifts that came out of such a tragic experience that I just was not prepared for. And everything that I learned as a person in the process that I wanted to just share with people who, even if they don't have that exact same story, we all have something that just knocks us for a loop. And what do we do?
Yeah, because how do you get back up?
Exactly. How do you get back up?
Well, you have the choice to.
Exactly.
That's the thing. You do, no matter how far down you think, or like how, people will think like it's never ever going to get any better. Mm-hmm. It's never going to get better. It's always going to be like this. This feeling is always going to be here. Exactly. And it's not true. Those are all lies.
Exactly. And that's what I wrestled with. I wrestled with my faith in God. I wrestled with my faith in humanity. I just wrestled with so many just deep, just philosophical values, emotions, just wrestled with it all. And there were times when I didn't want to get back up, but I had to get back up.
How did you? Where did you find it? Where did you find the strength?
I've shared it in the book. My mother-in-law had shared lots of wisdom with me, and she said, if you have an elephant to eat, you eat it one bite at a time. And so that's what I would do. Yeah, I would do what I could do when I could do it. I am one of those people who's like, I like to have charts and be organized and follow timelines. And
timelines.
Exactly.
My timeline.
Exactly.
Not your timeline.
Exactly.
Not the universe's timeline. My timeline.
Exactly. And this humbled me, and I realized, well, so much for timelines. And so if I had the energy to face something that day, I did. If I didn't touch it. And
that's important too, because I think you have to give yourself grace.
Yes.
And a lot of people in these situations are like so hard on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Even in regular life, give yourself a break. Right? Whatever it is that you need to do to bring yourself to be centered, because I mean, I'm going 1,000 miles a minute all the time. And then especially when you get hit with something like this, then what do you do?
Exactly.
When you're used to being in control.
Exactly.
Making things happen.
Exactly. Making things happen. Right. Yes. There were times when I would just say, okay, God, just take the wheel, because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm going to find this information. I don't know where to look. And then just through serendipitous events, something would say, go here. And I'd go there and someone would be like, oh, you should call the town office of blah, blah, blah. And they'll help you get that information.
Everything leads to something.
Yeah. Everything led to something. There were so many things like that.
I think it's important that you shared this too, because not only for people on your side of dealing with alcoholics or addicts or whoever in their life, but also if anyone is listening that is actively using, of what you leave.
Yes.
Of how you can, of real life, of what you're doing and affecting your family or other people, because I'm actually in recovery.
Oh my gosh.
I have 17 years clean.
Oh.
And you know, when you're in it,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, you're just,
Mm-hmm.
it's my life I'm ruining. I'm not ruining. No, you're
Mm-hmm.
ruining every single person
Mm-hmm.
who you come in contact with. There is some sort of consequence.
Yes. Well,
So I think it's important for other people to hear
mm-hmm.
that there is a chance you can stop.
Yes.
You can get help. You can pick yourself back up, no matter what the situation is,
Right.
whatever it is.
Right.
You have the option to change.
Yes. Yes, you do, and that's courageous of you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And congratulations on your journey and your recovery, and just another year forward, another day forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just another day, one step.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, one little baby task at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
it.
Yes.
And those little things all add up to really big changes.
They do. Yes.
You know?
Yes, they do. And that's what helped me through this, was just one little thing. Okay, I did one thing today, even if it was just I went through one box of his things, looked at one piece of paper, and that was it.
And you talked about therapy too, which I think a lot of people don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big advocate. I've been sending her my therapist. But yeah, it sucks. In the beginning, I've been in therapy for years, and like, who feels like doing that? I don't feel like talking about my feelings and working through it and stirring things up and getting upset. No, I want to just move on. I want to feel good with the least work possible.
Yes. Yes, therapy helped a lot. In my family, that was something that you didn't do. You don't.
Of course.
You just sweep everything under the rug.
Right, you don't talk about it.
Exactly, you don't talk about it. And I said, no, I'm ending that legacy. I see what it's done, and I'm not going to have that going forward.
Yeah.
And it helped me so much. And even just how I found my therapist, I just randomly looked through what my insurance accepted, and I thought, well, that name sounds, that pings in my heart, so I'm just going to go with her. And don't you know, she had experience in everything that I needed help with.
That's unbelievable.
And
That is unbelievable. So where can people buy your book?
It is on Amazon right now. I'm self-published.
That's amazing.
Thank you. I'm working on getting into local bookstores, so I'm getting set up on Ingram Spark to get into more areas and just branch out and be just encouragement to other people.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How come you chose to do AR instead of Alexis?
I was thinking about J.K. Rowling and how she did that. I thought, well, if it worked for J.K., I'm going to do that because I admire J.K. and just how she grew, so I'm going to do AR.
I like it.
Thank you. That was one layer of it, and then the other layer was just the whole, oh my gosh, what happens if then people know about me? Because I am airing my dirty laundry out there in the world.
How does the family feel about that?
So some family members, I'd say extended family members, were worried that I was going to be sharing the whole, like, eons of our whole family. And I just said, no, this is just me and my direct family. I'm not talking about our whole family. It's just my little world that I experienced.
Your perspective.
Exactly.
And your experience.
Exactly. My perspective.
Which might be different for somebody else in the family, you know?
Exactly.
Like, I'm sure your mom she could probably write a book.
I hope she does. I really want to do a prequel to this with her perspective. That's what I would love to do.
That would be fun.
I think it would be healing for her, but I don't know. She's, she's an older person who is in her ways, but I think it would be incredibly healing and help bring us together and just shatter more of that family legacy.
When did this come out?
February of 2024, so it's really new.
So it's really new. Have you had like a launch party yet?
I did my launch party, had that about a month ago.
We should throw another one.
I would love that.
At the new place. We opened a new place, and there's a parlor, there's a library, it's a beautiful, big old mansion.
Okay.
And I envision book signings there, book launch parties there, things like that.
I would love it. That would mean the world to me because I wasn't even going to throw a launch party for this. I thought, well, who wants to hear about this?
I do.
I totally just discredited it, and I was like, who would want to hear such a sad story? Why would I celebrate that?
Right.
And that's what my book coach helped me with. He said, well, A, you wrote a book, and B, there's so many people who are going through this who can relate to it in some way, shape, or form, and to just open up that conversation and engage and celebrate the life and just overcoming adversity. That's a celebration.
And who doesn't want to hear about that?
Right.
And also, too, like, there's going to be one person, if there hasn't been already one person already, that you are going to change their life because of this.
Yes.
Like, how
Right.
That's ginormous.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even if it's just one, which I doubt that would be just one, it'll probably be plenty of people. But yeah, we got to get the word out, and that's the point of doing these is to get the word out, just let people know about this book, where they can get it. It's a huge deal and a huge accomplishment, and I'm always like blown away every single time somebody comes here and tells their story, and that you self-published a book. To me, I'm like, I can never do that, you know. But you're bringing the hope.
Yes,
you can.
You can, exactly. You totally can. And a lot of people share with me when I have had book signings that, oh, I've been working on a book for 10 years or 20 years. And I always say, well, when are you going to publish it? When are you going to do it?
What's the next step?
Exactly. What's the next step?
So my last question that I ask everybody, if you could go on a writer's retreat at the book house, who would you want it to be with? They could be dead, they could be alive. It could be a famous person.
Well, I would circle back to J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
And just,
we'll have to get her here.
I would love that, just the world that she created. It blows my mind, the level of creativity.
That's even in her brain.
Exactly. That was in her brain. And then B, how many times she was shot down. She was at her lowest depths when she was trying to get that book out. I think she was in a women's shelter and then being denied and said, oh, no, this book doesn't work. No one's going to want this book. And yet she persisted and believed in her dream and persisted. And look at just the world that she has opened up to people in so many ways. That just...
All right, we'll book it. We'll call her people. We'll have your people call her people.
Yes, we
and
have
book a room.
It's on a vision board. If it's on a vision board,
it's
going
to
to happen.
Yeah, they're magic. Well, thank you, Alexis.
Thank you, Stephanie.
I appreciate it so much.
This has been wonderful. I appreciate it.